We started the process probably about 2.5 years ago. Myself and Ashley Mendelowitz and Sean Melnick were kind of, in terms of sitting in the environment, looking around. I mean, it's very competitive in the broking space, very competitive in the asset management space, but there's only one exchange. And seeing what's happened internationally gave us the idea that, there's an opportunity in South Africa. So we looked at the international models in terms of the first player to come in after, in terms of away from the monopoly, the incumbent, and how they did it, how they managed to get market share. We looked at the legal frameworks, we looked at the Financial Market Act to see whether it was possible, and then given our backgrounds, obviously we tested the environment to see whether there would be a receptiveness to have two players, and you put those together and say, can we make money? That was kind of how it started. The name is not that interesting in the sense that we were looking for names, and we kind of saw ourselves in terms of an alternative exchange, which is A2X, and then it kind of got shortened to A2X. Yeah. So look, in terms of our model, it's actually to compete directly with the JSE. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to secondary list shares that are currently listed in the JSE, particularly the top 50 to 65 shares, the big cap liquid stocks. So secondary list them onto our platform. Then what are we offering brokers? We're offering brokers choice where they haven't had choice. We're doing it with the latest technology, and we're going to offer them material price reductions. So we think we can cut the price of a trade in the order of about 40%. And then, to be responsive to the market needs and demands. So the direct benefit will be to brokers, but obviously what we've seen internationally, and it's quite conclusive in terms of the research done, is by reducing the direct cost to do business, actually grows the overall industry. So business in itself improves because it's cheaper to do business. And the analogy we often use is in South Africa to pay stamp duty when you buy and sell a property. If it was 1% and not 7%, you would see the amount of transactions go up. So we're doing the same thing on the market. If you transact on the JSE, effectively there are kind of 5 levels of cost. The first one is, this is from a broker perspective, you need to be a member of the JSE, so you've got to pay for that. Secondly, when you transact, there's a fee, 0.53 of a basis point that you need to pay. You then need to pay to clear, which is 0.36 of a basis point. You then get charged for the use of BDA, which we estimate in the region of, 0.3 to 0.5 of a basis point. It's difficult to calculate. And then, as you mentioned now, you've got to pay for the live data. So, and that all adds up, and we would estimate for most brokers they're probably paying somewhere between 1.3 and 1.8 basis points. And as I say, we think we can reduce that total cost by about 40%. So for us, there's no membership fee. Our transaction fee will be 30% less. Our clearing fee will be 30% less. We don't require BDA. We don't require brokers to have BDA. So they do need to do certain things, but the cost of that will be a lot lower. And we will provide data, live data, free for at least the first 2 or 3 years. And if we do decide to charge, even then, it would be at a material reduction. Our challenge, of course, is that, in terms of we've engaged with a lot of issuers and sponsors, and they're very supportive of our initiative. Now, our challenge is obviously take that support and convert it into action to list the companies. We would anticipate, we're targeting October to go live, and we would anticipate to have, say, 10 or 15 good names in terms of the issuers, and say 4 or 5 brokers. So, we don't have to do a big bang. It's more incremental, but we need enough for critical mass. So we wouldn't have the top 50 to 65 on day one. For a retail investor, you still need to go to your broker, right? Your broker would need to be a member of both exchanges. Now, in terms of A2X, we are different to the JSE in the sense that all brokers and clients of brokers need to hold a custody and a funds account at an authorized participant, right? So at the moment, they would just go to their broker, and their broker would take their shares in their scrip, and they would have the responsibility in terms of looking after it. we would now sit at a bank. So if you wanted to trade on both markets or on A2X, you would need to open a custody account at one of the participants. In terms of the ones that focus on retail, like Computershare and Link, it's free. So a retail investor can do that. So it's a slightly different process for the retail investor, and it aligns them with actually the institutions and the hedge funds. Look, we would anticipate absolutely some of these cost savings will get passed on to the end user, and I mean that's good for the retail investor, it's good for the end pensioner, it reduces the cost of doing business. As a first step, we're saying this is kind of our Everest, is to actually get the exchange up and running, and to first of all just focus on equities. So let's get those top 50 to 65, or as many of them as we can, listed. We've licensed our technology from A2X Exchange in the UK, it was launched in 2013. It's the fastest exchange across Europe. They've got shares from 13 different jurisdictions trading on it. But it's a very scalable platform, so it does give us the opportunity to look at other types of products, derivatives, fixed income, FX, etc. But we'll make that decision, I think, when we get further down the road as to what would be the next best opportunity. But we see equities as a step one. And you know, whether we expand products, whether we look at different, you know, Pan Africa or different jurisdictions, whether we look at, you know, the market infrastructure side of stuff, there are a lot of opportunities. One of them we are quite focused on, though, is that as a first step we're just doing secondary listings, so the shares need to have a primary listing on the JSE, or a listing on the JSE, it doesn't have to be a primary listing, is to introduce primary listings at some stage. So that would probably be our first step. First of all, I think it's worth saying that it's a well-established concept in South Africa. If you look at the dual shares on the JSE, they are all secondary listings. So as it stands now, over half the JSE's market cap is secondary listings. So it's a well-established principle. So basically we're just saying is a company like, say, Sanlam has now issued 1,000 shares, right? We're saying you should now have an option if you want to buy more shares or sell shares as a shareholder at the venue you want to go to. So it doesn't change the number of shares in issue, and bearing in mind our CSD is straight and participants are the same. So really it's giving you the opportunity to trade your shares, to buy or sell them on a different venue should you so wish. So it doesn't have an impact in the number of shares in issue, on the way you settle. It all fits into the current infrastructure. In terms of the capital market space, I mean, the fact that it is open for competition now, we might see further applicants come through as well. So I do think we're going to see a much more competitive, dynamic, efficient environment, right? Which, you know, you'll see much lower pricing, you'll see much more innovation, you'll see much better responsiveness, and we can't believe that's bad for anybody, right? So we do see the whole environment developing over time. I think the one thing from a regulatory point of view is, I think obviously the high regulatory standards that must be upheld in South Africa will continue, but we do see perhaps a push towards a CCP model, which is kind of best practice within South Africa, but we think that'll take time.